There's a real key to to be successful in the direct selling. People need to be tenacious, they need to be courageous, and they need to be consistent.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back in to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today I'm joined by a very special individual that I am really, really excited to share this particular podcast interview with you because I feel that this is going to give you guys a lot of aha moments. This particular interview was so great that I was sitting here taking notes, which is difficult when I'm supposed to also be concentrating on interviewing. But it happens every time I speak to this very special individual. So today we're going to be interviewing Keith Abraham, who is a world-leading authority on goal setting for direct sellers. To give you a little bit of information about who Keith is, if you have not come across this very special individual, he has spoken to more than 100,000 direct selling professionals over the years. He's worked with more than 20,000 direct selling leaders across 8 different countries. He's the best-selling author of 5 books. I kid you not, these books are amazing. We're going to talk about them a little bit during the interview. And he's also, something to be very proud of, published in 12 different languages. In doing so, he's reached over 1.6 million people in 33 different countries in his 25-year speaking career. So I'm really excited to share this interview with you guys. We're going to talk all about goal setting. We're going to talk about whys. We're going to talk about passion. This is going to be a really special opportunity for you to really stop and assess what matters to you in your business right now. So if you're feeling a little bit stuck, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, if you're feeling a bit uncertain, or if you are brand new in the direct selling industry, or perhaps you haven't even started yet and you're wondering, should you? This interview is just for you. You're going to love it. So tune on in, get listening, and let's get stuck into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I am absolutely super duper excited to introduce you all today to Keith Abraham, who is a world-leading authority in goal setting for the direct selling industry. And we've nabbed him out of his very busy day to come and talk to you guys on the podcast about goal setting. We're going to have a chat about how to grow your amazing direct selling businesses, bit of goal setting, bit of social media. We're going to throw it all in there and have a bit of a conversation today. But welcome on in, Keith, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Sam. Great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you and share some insights, ideas, and maybe just a little bit of inspiration to the listeners of your podcast.
Oh, I think it'll be fantastic. And I've heard you speak a couple of times before, Keith, but for those that haven't, can you tell us a little bit about you've been working with direct sellers for how many years now?
25 years, all around the world.
And I know that I've already given people a little bit of a summary about who you are and what you do and your amazing experience, but can you tell us a little bit about look, I love the fact that you're translated into all these different languages and your books have made their way to so many different countries, but tell us a little bit about who Keith is, what you're passionate about, and what goes on in your world.
Yeah, great question, Sam. So for me, for the last 25 years, I've been a professional speaker, spoken in 33 different countries to 1.6 million people now. Published 5 books, as we talked about, 12 different languages, 33 different countries. And for me, I'm really passionate about helping people become the best version of themselves, and for them to find their purpose, to find their goal, to find their direction and getting them very focused. So getting them in this corridor of clarity rather than chasm of confusion, but getting them to seek out and find out what's important, what matters, and what's going to make a difference to them and to the people who mean the world to them. So that's me. I work with most direct selling businesses around the world. I've been asked to, 2019, I spoke to the top 16 direct selling CEOs, leaders, and founders in Mexico City. So think of the 16 biggest direct selling organizations in the world, and all of those particular CEOs and founders were in the room, and I worked with them for a day, talking to them about what they need to change, evolve, do differently, what's not just on the horizon, not just what's on the top of the hill, but what's over the hill and around the corner. And so have a vast amount of experience in direct selling industry, but more importantly, I suppose recognises an authority in the industry to talk to people about direction, focus, and goals.
I love that. And it must be really powerful as well for you to not only to help people figure out what their purpose and their passion is in life,
Yeah.
but how does it feel to see people actually achieving that?
Oh, I think that's the thing that really juices me up, because I get, emails and comments, social media posts and comments back to me just saying, I saw you speak 3 years ago and I've been able to go away and do X, Y, and Z in my life and in my business. And as well as being well paid to do this, to do the work that I love, that's what really fuels the fire. That's what really gives me the buzz to say, I'm out there making a difference, with people. I mentioned before we jumped on the podcast, one of my books, or a couple of my books now, have been published in Russian, and I get
It's amazing.
Russian emails from people, which you have to put into Google Translate, just like say, this has been amazing, this is life changing, and I think that's the powerful piece of the direct selling industry. The direct selling industry is about helping people step into their potential and to be able to achieve the lifestyles, that most people only dream of. Now it's not without work, it's not without, challenges, it's not without, but anything worthwhile has got work and challenge attached to it. And that's the really great part. Otherwise, we'd all be Olympians, wouldn't we? If it was easy, we'd all be Olympians.
Which would make us all the same, because you wouldn't have the elite anymore.
No.
Awesome. So I do want to ask you a little bit of a question now about direct selling specifically, because one of the things that, I think we probably don't think about, but it's a bit of an obvious aha, that makes sense, is that a lot of people that move into the direct selling industry essentially are starting and running a small business.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to run a small business. And, there are so many different elements that come into play. The really great thing about this industry is a lot of those elements that you and I have to deal with in having a small business are taken care of by the head office.
100%.
But there still lies a very obvious difference between those that succeed in this industry and those that don't. And I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a little question here. And in all of your years of working with the industry, can you tell me what you feel separates those that do well and those that don't in the direct selling industry?
Yeah, great question. So it's really simple. They treat it like a business. See, the thing with direct selling, it's a low cost to get involved. Couple $100, buy some product, become a product of the product. So it's a low cost to get involved. But, and hence people treat it like a $200, $300 investment. Where if you treat it like the potential the business has got to offer you, then you treat it a whole lot differently. So my advice to people is always treat it like a business. So what would you, if you're going to treat it like a business, you'd have a goal, you'd have a plan, you'd have a strategy. You'd be developing yourself. You would understand and know the product inside out. You would understand and know the best way to pitch, present, to share this business opportunity with people. You'd practice that. You'd be open to coaching. So when I say treat it like a business, they're all the things you and I do, Sam, to create the businesses that we have today. We have coaches, we have mentors, we have a business plan, we have a goal, we have a vision for the business, we have a big enough reason why to do the uncomfortable and inconvenient. So that is the standout for people who are long-term successful, because often what you'll find in direct selling is people shoot to the top, and then 6 months later, where are they?
Where are they? Yeah.
And because they didn't build a business. And that's the real difference that I see with, with the 20,000 plus leaders I've worked with directly around the world and these are the very, very best in most direct selling businesses. These are the very, very best is they treated it like a business from day one. When they were making $10 a month, when they were making $100, they treated it like a business.
And that sort of brings me to my next question, because I think there's this assumption that the successful people just skyrocket straight there. But tell me a little bit about those leaders, because some of them do stick at those very low numbers for quite a period of time before they start to make headway. So,
well, I think everybody needs to write this down and have it stuck in front of them is tenacity wins every race. And if there was anything in the direct selling, if there was a real key to to be successful in the direct selling, people need to be tenacious, they need to be courageous, and they need to be consistent. And so, one of my very dear friends in the direct selling business has a huge business, probably, 2-3 million a month of revenue, business all over the world. They were 10 years at like nothing, just, they just hung in there. And all of a sudden they'd learnt enough, changed enough, evolved enough, the penny dropped for them. And they went from, the first level in their network to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to now being the biggest level in their particular network. And on top of that, just the most phenomenal leaders on this planet.
Yeah.
But for 10 years, they were at zero.
Yeah. So what for them, without obviously going into too much detail, but what was the thing for them that transitioned them from the zero to getting to where they are now?
A decision. They went along to a workshop, a seminar, somebody said something, and they made a decision, which they committed to. Because I think lots of people at seminars, workshops, weekends, conferences, whatever it might be, become excited but not committed. They became excited and committed, where I think in the past they just became excited.
Yeah. And there's a difference, isn't there, between being excited and passionate and doing the work. And this is where you use the word tenacity, I use the word consistency. And, we're constantly saying to people that if you're inconsistent, you'll be non-existent. And so, this sort of leads into the next question I have for you, which is that I feel in this industry, failure and rejection is massive. I mean, it is in any business that you have, but in this particular industry, you've got to be asking the questions, and that feeling of failure and the feeling of being rejected is coming up again and again. Now, I know how I handle that side of it, but I also know that everyone handles it very, very differently. And it does tend to get in the way of people being consistent or being tenacious, because there's that fear of what if I get rejected? What if I fail? Now, I know that this is a space that you can give us a lot of advice on, but I'm just wondering, for someone who's really struggling in that space of failure and rejection and that fear of, I want it, but I'm scared to go out and get it because it's a possibility. What advice can you give to someone who's feeling that right now?
Yeah, Sam. So firstly, you got to have a reason that's bigger than your excuse.
Yeah.
So you got to have a big enough reason why. I often say when the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy. And the reason why most people don't achieve what they want to achieve, or the reason why they suffer from rejection, is they don't have a big enough reason why. Because if you don't have that big enough reason why, it's too hot, too cold, too many, too few, too little, too much, too hard, too easy. So people first have to have a big enough reason why. The second is they have to get over the ability of they need to be liked.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
I need to be liked. And by the way, that comes from confidence. See, if I've got strong enough self-confidence, more importantly, strong enough self-love, then I will turn up, and it's not about, see, what people get confused with is, like and respect. There's people that you like, but you don't respect them. And there's people that you respect that that they may not like you, but they respect you because that you have held your resolve. And so the best piece of advice that I can give people is make sure they have a big enough reason why. So the goal, the dream is so important. The second, the purpose. The second is to make sure they understand that this is about holding your resolve and making sure that you go and do the work regardless of what people may say about you, may think about you. They might say, that's a dumb thing to do. Why would you want to do that? Well, show me something that's better. So show me another alternative. And they don't have one. Because, the 40-40 plan, 40 hours a week, 40 weeks, 40 years of your life is probably not going to achieve the goals that you want and the aspirations you want. So for a lot of people, they struggle to get their head around, the having enough self-confidence, because what's the byproduct of self-confidence and self-love is posture. And the ability to be able to say, well, no, Larry, that's, I get that it might not be right for you. Maybe I got confused and thought that you were more ambitious. But I'm still going to hold on to this dream and this and work towards this. And if it takes you, if it takes you 10 years to serve an apprenticeship that gives you a leveraged income, of 100,000 a year, is that okay? That I think that's what people need to make sure they hold on to that. But for some people it's $1 million a year. I think you have to be conscious of who you let near your subconscious in your mind. And what I mean by that is making sure there's always going to be people that say it won't work. It won't work. You can't do it. You won't. And by the way, everybody has said that of any business leader anywhere in the world. What are they? They thought Steve Jobs was nuts. His own company sacked him. Hello, his own company said you in essence, you no longer add value to us.
Yeah, it's an amazing reminder, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Nelson Mandela. What I read just recently. He got one letter every 6 months and one visitor every 6 months in jail. So you come out of that, and what type of damage would that do to your self-confidence and self-esteem?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can really see why the why is so important. And I want to talk a little bit about your books as we get towards the end here, because I love them for a number of different reasons. And I think they're a really amazing tool. But I do just want to jump back into something you were just talking about. I know, and we'll get to the why a little bit more in a moment, but there might be a few people out there that are listening to this going, all right, Keith, that's all great. How do I learn to love myself a little more? If that's important, what do I do? How do I do that?
You got to make a decision, Sam. So let me ask you the question. This is for everybody listening in, is that you got to pick a mindset. And I believe there's 6 mindsets that you can choose from, what I call amplified attitudes. And why amplified? You have to turn them up. They have to be louder, more prominent than just this meek and mild. And I don't mean that you're espousing them or shouting them, so walking up to people. Because often people say, well, what's the mindset you need? Oh, I just need to be positive, Kate. Really? I mean, what does that mean? I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't even know what that means. But I think when you say, what's your amplified attitude? So let me ask you the question, and this is for everyone to ponder. If you were tenacious with every cell in your body, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, how would you turn up? How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you think? What would you say to yourself? What would you say to others if you were tenacious, if you were courageous? What would you be brave enough to face? What would you, with every cell in your body, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you think? What would you say to yourself? What would you say to others? If you had great self-love, if you are no longer your harshest critic, if you are now your greatest coach and cheerleader, how would you turn up? And so when we look at the, so I better give you.
And I'm looking up at the wall here because I just want to say, last time you spoke to me about these, I loved it so much that we've actually written those up on our board for our entire team to see. Imagine how you would show up in the world if you were.
Yes.
We've got them all written down there.
Yeah. So this is the thing that most people go, I just need to be positive. The challenge is with the subconscious is they have no definition around that. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And so you have to get very, very specific on the mindset you need. Just to share those other 6, limitless. If you had limitless opportunities, if you had limitless energy, how would you turn up? How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you think? If you're empowered, if you were no longer waiting for people to give you permission to step into your potential, if you were no longer waiting for your brother-in-law to say, oh, yeah, I think that's a great business to be in, well done to you, you were no longer waiting for that, how would you turn up? And more importantly, how would you turn up if you were grateful? Because here's what we do know is that unless you are grateful for all things that aren't great in your life, you'll become bitter, not better. And I think it's easy for you to be grateful when everything's great. Yep. But we know in the direct selling space is that the gratitude has to come from, you driving, pre-COVID, 2 hours to turn up to show the business opportunity to someone and they weren't there, or they were there, but they had all the lights turned out because they didn't want to talk to you. And but you have to be grateful for even those experiences. Yeah. That all makes up the story.
I love that so much. So can you just repeat those? I know what they are, but can you repeat them for everyone?
So courageous, tenacious, empowered, limitless, grateful, and what's the other one? What have I missed there?
I think I've added some.
What have you added?
Well, tenacious, abundant, courageous.
Oh yes, abundance.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So abundance is that ability of saying, if you just had a mindset of abundance. Now, here's what I believe. Goals are the vehicle towards abundance. The reason why we set goals is to generate abundance. Now, often what people will think of about abundance is money. But I'm thinking about, so if you go out and, if your goal is to be 78 kilos and fit, healthy, slim, if that's your goal, what's on the other side of that is abundance of energy. Or is an abundance of awareness of, geez, now I think so much differently because I've shed some of the baggage or whatever. If you think of, well, I'm going to go and work to this level in my direct selling business, what's on the other side of that is abundance. Now, it could be abundance of time. It could be abundance of money. It could be abundance of recognition, of appreciation, of an abundance of people around you who want you to help them move towards what they want. That's abundance.
I think already that kind of stirs my spirit a little bit, and I'm sure it is for a few other people out there too that are listening in. But we really do often, without even thinking about it, and I speak for myself as much as I know many, many, many people out there listening right now, is that we often chase the abundance of the thing instead of what that represents, the feeling that you're going to get from that. And, hey, I want $1 million business. But why? What does that get you? What does that turn into? And that's where the passion comes in, isn't it?
It does.
You're not passionate about the money. You're passionate about what it is that you're going to get from that.
So part of the, so last 18 years, I have been researching high performance business leaders, both in direct sales and in the corporate world.
Yep.
And one of the things I can share with most people is that the reason why most of these people are exceptionally successful at what they do is they have aligned 3 elements that contribute them being focused, committed, compelled, connected to their goal, which is they have an emotional connection, a mental connection, a physical connection.
Yep.
We are driven by 8 key drivers around this area. And one of the things that, one of the parts of the goal driver formula I talk about, Sam, is whatever you write down, the first thing I want to say to you is, I believe you can achieve it. I don't know you, but I just believe you can achieve it because I think other people have already achieved it. So if other people can achieve it, why couldn't you?
Yeah.
But the next question I ask you is, tell me why. Tell me why that goal, make $1 million in your direct selling, why is that goal so important to you?
Yeah.
And as soon as you tell me whatever that reason is, financial independence, Keith, that's great. Tell me why financial independence is so important to you.
Yeah.
It gives me choices and options. That's great. Why? Tell me why you want to have more choices and options in your life. And I just keep on digging and digging and digging,
Yeah.
normally about 5 questions, to actually help people really understand the real reason why. Because most people talk in generalities and most people talk in vagueness.
Yep.
They talk in society expectations rather than digging deep inside their core to understand exactly what it is that's going to drive them to do the uncomfortable, the inconvenient, and the unknown. And that's what every successful direct selling leader has been able to embrace, has been the uncomfortable, the inconvenient, and the unknown.
All right. So if we break this down for a little second, because I just want to stay here. This is fantastic. So if someone at home is doing this and they're asking themselves the question why, and they don't have Keith on the other end of the phone or the other end of Zoom doing this with them,
Sure.
and they ask themselves that question and they get an answer, and they ask it again and they get an answer, how do they know when they've hit the nail on the head with their actual why?
Well, 2 things happens when I work with people in doing this. Is I see a change in their physiology.
Okay.
And I see and I hear a change in their voice.
Yep.
Often what will happen is somebody will shed a tear because it will be so close to their heart.
Right.
That it means something important. And so when you start digging in and asking yourself those questions, why? Why is that so important to you? You'll have that internal nodding going, Sam. You'll go, yeah, that's it. That's it. I do want financial independence. I do want choices of options. I do want to live in a new house. I do want my kids to go, but it's my personal worth. It's that personal capital. And whatever it might be, it's to make a difference on the planet. It's to be able to take care of the family around me. It's to leave a legacy. So people start to dig a bit deeper, and what they'll do is it'll come from their gut. It'll come from their heart, not from their head, but from their heart.
Yeah. So they're going to be feeling it, and that's the main key here with that. I love it. I think that's so powerful, because I think you can tell the difference between those that have clear about their why. They show up in a different way. They're passionate.
You hear it. You hear it in their voice, Sam. You hear it in their voice when they, why do you want to build a business? Financial independence. Wow, really? But all of a sudden they dig a bit deeper and deep. I want to leave a lasting legacy for my family. I want to leave intergenerational wealth.
Yep. Oh wow. Yep.
It's sort of different.
Powerful, isn't it? Even just hearing it from you, and I know I think it's powerful, and it's amazing speaking to someone who you can tell just knows exactly why they're doing what they're doing. And I can think of a few people right now in various different businesses.
Yes.
Some people that run direct selling companies, and I know I've had this conversation with them, and the reason they're in the position they're in is because they're so clear about why they're doing it.
100%.
And it's often not what you would think, but it's coming from their heart when they talk about it. So I would encourage all of you guys listening right now, do that little exercise. When you finish listening to this podcast, before you go to the next one, sit there and ask yourself and dive deeper. Pretend you've got Keith or myself on the other end of Zoom or the other end of the phone, and we're peppering you. And I would say, if it feels like it's getting tough, keep pushing through it.
Yeah, 100%.
Point.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I want to kind of switch the conversation a little bit now over to, I know, surprise, surprise, we're going to talk about social media.
Love it.
Shock horror. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about mindset first before we dive into goal setting in that space. How do you feel mindset applies to social media, and what sort of mindset would you bring to the table in your business when it comes to running your business on social media?
Yeah. So firstly, the mindset for me around social media is limitless. There's an ocean of opportunities out there. There's an ocean of opportunities. So often we get bogged down into, I'm just looking for 1,000 followers. I'm just, looking for 1,000 fans, or, whatever it might be. I just, I just want to get, this Insta post, I want more likes on it. I want more, more
Yep.
shares, and we get bogged down. And by the way, they're all good metrics and everything like that. But the ocean of, I just have a mindset at the moment. I had a fantastic year last year in COVID. Most of my colleagues struggled in this marketplace. So they weren't prepared to change, adjust, modify, do things differently. But I saw that there was an ocean of opportunities, because where there is panic, there's profits.
Yep.
And so, but to capitalize on that, you need a plan. So, where there is chaos and confusion, uncertainty, there is an opportunity for me to come in and provide clarity and confidence and certainty and consistency to those particular organisations or individuals. And so one of the things especially around mindset, when it comes to social media, is you have to have a mindset around, there's limitless opportunities. But more importantly, the real baseline mindset is I want to add unprecedented value.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
So less about you, more about them.
Did you hear that, guys?
Yeah, because what happens is people are, posting content, and you look at it and you go, that's interesting, but what's the value of it? I followed a few people, and it's just Groundhog Day. They're sitting by a pool, they've got a huge following, but after a while I'm going, well, why wouldn't you be telling me, if you're the travel guru, why wouldn't you tell me the 3 restaurants I should go to in that area? Tell me the 2 must-do things that I need to do. Don't show me the picture of you, sitting at this resort or whatever it might be, giving that as an example. I think the real, my belief around it is because where there is so much noise and distraction, the only way you can get cut through is to add value, because as you add value, you create a community. And as you create a community, then you can create followers. And then from followers, you can turn them into fans. And then from fans, you can turn them into ambassadors for you.
Love it. Yeah, so good. And so, being that you're the master of breaking down goals and helping people goal set, and then, that I love that you take people on the journey to get there. It's not just, I was actually, I'll put this out there. I'm going to do a little shout out now just before I ask this next question, because I've got 2 books sitting on my desk right now, which I picked up from the last time I heard you speak. I've actually bought these 3 or 4 times now. I've gifted a set to my kids. I've gifted them to everyone in the team. I actually, the first time that I came along to a conference where you and I were both speaking, it was at a direct selling conference a few years ago. And I got the pleasure of listening to your presentation on goal setting, where you spoke about these books. And one of the things I really love about this is it helps you identify what those goals are, identify the why those goals are important, which we've already talked about, and then the journey to get there. And I've just realized I needed to get 2 new copies, which is what I've got sitting here, because I am, as some of our listeners know, I'm going to be running my first ever half marathon in July.
Fantastic.
Never run past 10K before. In fact, 10K is a big achievement for me. So I'm sitting here going, I'm going to need Keith's help. It's not just about the destination. I'm sitting here going, the journey is far more important right now than the end game. And so I just want to come back where I'm going with this is I want to come back as well to what are some of the goals you can help people with to break down when it comes to social media? So what goals would you set in the social media space? Because we often look at the end goal. We look at the, I want the $1 million business, or I want 100,000 followers. How would you suggest that people break their goals down to make them achievable and measurable so that they feel less overwhelming? Because I think overwhelm is the greatest challenge in this space.
Yeah. Good question. Great question. So one of the things I talk about is this goal driver formula, blueprint. And so if I was going to walk you through that process, and I think we have some time to do that, Sam, if I can walk you through the process, where we have to start first is how you want to feel. So there are 135 different emotions you can experience as an adult. Of those, 64 are positive. Of those 64, they break down into 8 what I call goal drivers. These are things that will drive us to do the uncomfortable, the inconvenient, and the unknown. And so of those 8 drivers, let me just reel them off. People want to feel successful. People want to feel purposeful. People want to feel inspired. People want to feel happy. People want to feel in control. People want to feel respected. People want to feel confident, and people want to feel relaxed. So the first thing I'd say is, how do you want to feel about your social media? And so let's just say, people say, oh, I want to feel inspired by my social media. I want to be able to read it, and it inspires me, and it makes me to be better, to do more, to have more, to achieve more, to give more as part of that process. Go, great, okay. So inspired is our goal driver. And the second thing I say is, okay, in the next 12 months, what's the number one goal you want to achieve in your social media, in the area of social media, to feel inspired? And you think, okay, wow. Well, if I could create a following of 1,000 perfect clients. So not just that, anybody can buy a list, anybody can go and engage someone to, fill up their, I've got 1,000 followers or whatever it might be. But I'd rather, if you said to me, what would you rather? Would you rather have 100,000 followers, or would you rather, 1,000 raving fans? Oh, give me 1,000 fans, because those 1,000 fans will buy, rebuy, repurchase, reshare, et cetera, et cetera. These ones here, doing nothing. Geez, it looks good. Looks good on your website. I've got 100,000 people, but you don't make any money out, and you don't have a significant impact because they're not sharing, liking, etc. So then you go, okay, so I want 1,000 of the perfect. That would inspire me. I said, great, okay. When do you want to achieve that by? Well, it's a 12-month goal. I want to achieve it by April 2022. Great. Okay, so what day in April? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, 1st of April, 2nd of April. Okay, great. You got to speak. By the way, what day of the week is that? Oh, I don't know. I have to look at a calendar, so you get your calendar out. I want you to be that specific, because the Olympic, archer doesn't, point the arrow at the target. They aim at the bullseye. So let's be specific from day one. The next thing I'd say is, okay, what type of amplified attitude do you need to have to be able to achieve that goal? So we go back to the attitudes we were talking about. Well, I need to be tenacious. Oh, I need to just turn up and do it and do it and do it, and not get disheartened when, oh, nobody's liking this post, or nobody's sharing it, or I haven't met my target, or having 10 people join me, this week, or the campaign I just launched, hasn't generate the income, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So tenacious is can be the amplified attitude. So I'll pick an attitude. Then what I do is I go, okay, so now we're down to, well, tell me 5 reasons why you want 1,000 perfect, perfect clients to join you on social media. So tell me 5 reasons why. Why do you really want? Well, I know that with 1,000, I can earn an income off that. With 1,000, I can have. It's a great platform to go to. 5,000. Great. Yeah. Okay, because this, Sam. It's like the hardest is getting to the first 1,000.
That's
after
right.
that, it's like
momentum after that.
There's momentum.
Yeah.
So you come up with 5 reasons why that is so important to you, because when the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy. And so then after that, what I then do is I then go, okay, so hand on heart, no BS. Tell me the 2 things you need to stop doing in your life to make this goal come true. And what are the 2 things you need to start doing in your life to make this goal come true? Because what happens is people go, well, I need to stop watching TV on Netflix, or I need to stop procrastinating, or I need to start liking other people. I need to start researching. I need to start, following Sam's process. Maybe I need to engage Sam in being my coach and mentor to help me on that journey. So all of a sudden, okay, so now we've done that. So then what I say to people is I go, okay, so now you've done that. Tell me what is your first milestone. So if it's a 12-month goal, what do you need to accomplish in the next 30 days? Tell me the goal you need to accomplish in the next 30 days. I need to do my research. I need to test a couple of campaigns, blah, 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 blah. Great. So what's your goal in the next 90 days? And then what's your goal for the next 6 months? Because you've got to have these milestones that you work towards. And then what I say to people is, okay, now that we have a 30-day milestone, a 90-day, 6-month milestone, what is your plan of action you need to work on in the next 30 days? Break that down into bite-sized, easy to consumable pieces. Listening to a podcast this morning with Tim Ferriss and Jerry Seinfeld, and he writes every day. He said he said I sit down for an hour with the intention of writing content, but not with the intention of doing anything else but that. So if nothing comes to me, I still sit there for an hour.
I love it. That's dedication.
Sure is. But he has piles and piles of yellow foolscap pads over his 30-year career as a comedian. Yeah. And of course, that's where you become masterful.
Absolutely.
Now, the final piece of the puzzle is, what are your daily rituals? Because you then go on that social media and you sort of go, okay, so on 1,000 perfect profile, I want to achieve this goal, I want to feel this way, I'm doing it for these reasons, why, this amplified attitude. And then you say, what do I need to do 5 out of 7 days a week, 6 out of 7 days a week, 7 out of 7? What are the 1 or 2 daily, not negotiable rituals, routines, habits to make this work?
I love it.
And it could be posting. It could be liking X amount of people. It could be going out and connecting with other people. It could be starting a conversation. I've got a mate of mine who on LinkedIn has been, he's got 37 active conversations going on at the moment with his ideal client. And already he has from 1 January to now has already got $2 million of advanced booking.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? Just from connecting and relationship building.
And starting a conversation and continuing that conversation. But more importantly as well, Sam, getting in this corridor of clarity.
Yeah.
Not the chasm of confusion, which social media can be so much fun.
Absolutely, it can be. So if someone right now wants to follow that process, which book, and we'll put the link to all of these in the podcast show notes, but which book right now is going to, because I know you've got several, actually, I'm just going to, guys, this isn't everything, but seriously, some pretty amazing stuff going on here. Like you've got to be pretty proud of that, Keith.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you haven't got this one yet, Sam. This is the latest one, which I wrote for speakers. So it's not necessary, but it's all about, we all need a playbook. And I know what you do, Sam, for all of your clients is you give them a playbook around social media. And, it's so much easier to follow a pathway that someone's already blazed in front of you. And that's what you do for your clients. And so that's what the work that you do is so valuable and so important. And more importantly, it gets results for people. If you want to be in that chasm of confusion, and let me tell you, social media is a chasm of confusion.
Sure is, yeah, absolutely.
And rather than having this absolute clarity, then you've got to invest in people like yourself to help you on that journey. I've done that in my business. I've got a great team of people around me, who in essence make me do social media.
Don't you love it? They're the best people.
Yeah, they are the absolute best people. So, but to answer your question, which book?
Which book do they need right now?
Focus book is probably the best book for people around that whole goal setting process.
That's this one here. And I will just say, so this one, which I have actually been through this once in total before. I'm about to redo it again. So I'm going to go through that process with my half marathon. But here, can I just show you guys this? Seriously, if you're a little bit like me and I'm just going to put it out there. I own probably more personal development books, more learning books than anyone, but I don't read them all. And here's why. Because there's a lot of writing and it's not all that interesting. And sometimes when you get home from a busy day and, I've got 4 kids, so it's craziness day in, day out. But what I love about your books is, check this out, guys. Like
there's 2 pages already done.
Done. Look, you're filling stuff in as you go. It's not this is my type of book. Like
it's
your books. I can read no problem.
Book. It's an easy book to read. But
and I love this one here because we've just been talking about this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Love Who You Are. Another really great one. I've actually been gifting this because I think that's a really beautiful little gift.
It is a lovely book, that one. Yeah.
Alrighty.
The other thing, of course, Sam, is people can just connect with me through, I every week I do a 2 or 3 minute video for the people on my blog. So if they want to go to keithabraham.com /blog, or just if they wait on that first page of my website, a little pop-up box will pop up.
Yeah, we'll pop it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. And people can gain, firstly, when you sign up for the blog, you get a little 60-minute audio recording of the goal setting process.
Yep.
You get some other resources, and then you get the weekly inspiration as well. So, so that's another, that's a very low cost investment. That's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah. It's a little bit of time, but it's well worth it.
Exactly.
Love that. So I've got one last little question. I had 2 here. We'll see how we go, but I do have one question I want to ask you, Keith, and you kind of, without realizing it, led into this one because you started talking about daily rituals. Yeah. But I wanted to ask, what do you do? What does Keith Abraham do each day to lay your day out for success?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing, I walk 10K. I walk 10K a day. That's like a 6 out of 7. It varies between 10 and 15, depends on what I'm focused on or goal-wise, etc.
My new training buddy right here.
Yeah, that's right. So 10 to 15K, so that 15 to 20,000 steps. The second thing that I do is I listen to a podcast. So, first 4K, I take the dog with me. So Teo comes for a walk with me. He comes back. He's 12 months old, so he gets puffed out. What's saying? So
can't handle it. He can't. He can't stand up to your stamina, Keith.
That's right. So bring him back. Then I'll listen to a podcast for the next 6K, and that just helps. And that's hence I'll listen to Jerry Seinfeld today. Listen to that lovely audio book from Matthew McConaughey.
I'm listening to that right now. Green Lights.
Green Lights.
Amazing.
Sensational audio book. So that's daily ritual. For me as well, always start the day with a plan. So always start the day with a plan. So I've got a list of things in my to-do list on my, and I just list that down as part of that. The other ritual, so in essence, I do that plan the night before. So when I get in the office or where I just start as part of that process. When I'm in business building mode, one of my daily rituals, 5 out of 7 days a week, is I contact 7 clients. Nice. So 7 clients a day is 35 for the week. Let me tell you, Sam, someone's going to say yes. You cannot contact 35 people, be that crappy, and somebody not say yes.
How about being grateful for the no, because it's one step.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, absolutely. Being grateful for that. They're all learning opportunities. And look, here's what I can say to people is that most of the time, we always build up in our own head the harshest response. But most of the time, it's just, no, I'm not interested. I found I've never had a client in 25 years say, never contact me again. There's clients that I've never contacted again because I don't like them.
Yeah,
but I've had people, I've had people I stayed in touch with for more than 16 years. So 16 years of no, but on the 17th year, they booked a conference, and over the last 7 years, they've probably booked 40 events. More than or close to $1 million of revenue. So I think one of the things that that you got to understand is that tenacity does win every race. So they're my rituals. The other piece of the puzzle for me as part of those daily rituals, of course, is that when I'm in product development, is that every day I spend a bit of isolation time and just I might meditate. I might just sit, do the Jerry Seinfeld thing and just sit with a concept and an idea and just flush it out a little bit. Don't do that enough, by the way, but that's another one of the rituals.
Yep. Love that. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Cool.
Now we're going to wrap up on one last question. I know we've been chatting for a long time and I say this a lot, but I feel like we could just keep talking for another couple of hours. We're not going to do that to everybody. No. But what I do want to ask is one last piece of advice that you would give to someone who is starting in direct selling for the very first time.
Yeah. Well, I first thing, a couple of parts to the answer. First is get a really clear why. Why are you really doing it? Get really clear on what's important, what matters, what's going to make a difference to you. Second, and that will change and evolve as you go through.
Yep.
Second is get a really clearly defined goal on, I want to be this level in the business, Okay, just bring it back to what do you feel is realistic to achieve in the next 30 days, next 90 days?
Yep.
The third piece is what I said earlier on, is treat it like a business. So if you're going to treat it like a business, you turn up, you do the work, you just like someone's going to pay you, you turn up and go through, you go through that process. I had one of the direct selling leaders who did an analysis of them. So their business is probably $500,000 a year now. But they did an analysis of the last couple of years in their business, and they worked out that every person they spoke to, where they said no, where they didn't turn up to the meeting, where they said yes, and then dropped out 3 months later, every phone call, every contact they made, regardless of the result, was like something like $538. So if someone's going to pay you $538 to just contact people and regardless of it, you do it. And so sometimes what we have to do is have belief and faith, and more importantly, trust ourselves that by turning up, it will happen. If you just keep on turning up. So one of the things I'd be saying to people just getting started, treat a lot of big business, have a really clearly defined short-term goal. Make sure you've got a very clearly defined why you're doing it, and make sure that you do you take action and activity consistently moving forward. Whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. There's days that I don't feel like going out for a walk, but I know that, the goal I want to achieve, it's just a step, Now, here's the wonderful thing about it. When I break it back down into a daily ritual, Sam, all I'm focused on is the daily ritual, because I know if I do that consistently over a period of time, I'll get the goal anyway.
Yep, absolutely. And it reduces the overwhelm. It even just stopping and thinking about those next obvious steps. Yeah.
But it's about controlling what you can control. I can only control today. So I can control how I act and how I respond.
Yep. Love that. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Keith. This has been really inspiring for me. And I've heard you several times before.
Right.
I'm sitting here. I'm like trying to write a couple of notes down as you're making me think of some great ideas as we're chatting. So I hope everyone out there's done the same.
Yeah.
I really encourage all of you, if you haven't checked out Keith's books, we'll put the link to his website with his online store in the show notes. So the one that Keith has recommended, if you want to go through that goal setting process, is this one here. Look, and then he's also got a couple of others here. It starts with passion, living your passion, and I think there's one I've got on order. I don't know what I'm missing, but I am missing one because it was sold out when I ordered it. But it apparently it's on its way. So I'll show that one off when I get it. I'll pop a photo.
Let us know what that is, Sam.
Yeah. Even Keith isn't sure.
Yeah, that's
what did I write? Oh, love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Keith. This has been fantastic. We'll put your link to your website as well. So for those that would like to grab access to your blog to get that free inspiration and learning and connection with you and to follow what you're doing, we'll also put some links to your social media as well so they can keep in contact with you there.
Yeah, please.
But thank you so much. It's been fantastic chatting with you today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks very much, Sam. Bye now.
Pleasure. Thanks. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.